Think of the people you interact with every day. Would you want to spend a day in a canoe with them? Hi, I'm Nathan Mersereau, CEO of Planning Alternatives. We're a disruptive brand in the financial planning space with a point of view that true wealth has nothing to do with money. Growing up in a small town in Canada, I experienced examples of families with money and without. It started me on this journey of understanding wealth and the idea that spending a day in a canoe with someone could be one of the best investments you could make. Join me as I sit down with leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, rule breakers, and friends to discover their perspective of true wealth. And maybe you'll start to shift yours. Well, I'd like to welcome Jason Reid today to Day in a Canoe. Jason is a partner at CEO Coaching International. He coaches CEOs how to be successful. He co-founded National Services Group, which employs over 2,500 people in the U.S. Really a leader, an entrepreneur, a family man, but experienced a tragic loss in life and is here to share some insights and takeaways. Jay, welcome to Day in a Canoe. Always a fan of you and always good to see you.
Nathan, great to see you. I remember the first time I heard your Day in a Canoe story at a CEO conference summit. And I think I use that regularly with my people to say, would you really spend the day with this person? What are you going to talk about?
Life is short and we need to make the most of the people we spend time with and how we expend our energy. So you've created an organization called Tell My Story that was birthed out of a tragedy. Would you mind sharing with listeners what your experience with your son and your family has been?
It was 7 years ago. On the 21st of March, just coming up. And my son, who had just turned 14, decided to take his life. And we didn't see any of it coming. We didn't think mental health was not something as a family we really spent a lot of time on. There are 4 kids and wife, and a lot of ways the people think is the picture perfect life, and kids had nothing to worry about, and life was great. Spent a lot of time together and everything else, but Ryan had a secret. And the secret was that he was depressed, didn't want to live. He was just in tremendous pain and thought the only way out was to take his life. So that happens literally 7 years. And I think when those kind of things happen to you, people go in different directions, right? You can crawl into a bottle. You can leave your family. You can stay depressed yourself. You can lean into your family. You can lean in and try and make a difference. You can bury yourself in work. There's a whole bunch of things you do. Leaving from Mexico by myself is definitely on the list. Like, I need 3 other kids and a wife is not really an option. So I decided, being an entrepreneur and being someone who, tries to make things happen, to try and make a huge difference in the world of mental health and help parents understand what they might be missing that I missed. So that's kind of where this whole thing started. And I know you know that because you were around with Mark Moses that day when we called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember it deeply, and happened to be Michelle and I were visiting Mark and Yvette that day, and got the news, and it just seemed like, from my point of view, just lightning struck, a whirlwind happened, a hurricane passed through, everything just wrapped up into this intense moment of Ryan taking his life. And in my family, my brother-in-law took his life a couple years ago. We've had other contacts, friends that have taken that step, and questions arise when that occurs after the event. What could I have done? What led the person to this step? For listeners that have either experienced that loss, what are some insights that you have that might give them some guidance? Because people get stuck in this kind of loop of the why and what could I have done better? That sense of second guessing.
I mean, we can spend a couple of minutes there for sure, Nathan. I'd like to kind of move it towards what we could do to prevent it.
For sure.
But I think that the biggest thing they didn't
Take your
they
time.
didn't do this.
Right.
They did it because they saw no way out of it. And they were in immense pain. And they didn't think about pain or restlessness. And had they been thinking in a rational mind, they wouldn't have done it. But they were sick. And they weren't thinking in a rational mind. So I think you spend a lot of time being angry. I think you should spend a lot of time being sad, which in both. When you realize it's like dying from any other disease. And it wasn't because anything you did. Right? And someone gets mentally ill, it's not because someone else caused it. No one caused what happened to your brother-in-law. No one caused what happened to Ryan. They got sick. And that was the ultimate end to them getting sick. Now, could we have prevented it, done something different? Maybe. In a lot of cases, no. It's harder with adults than it is with kids. It's something that's, when an adult makes up their mind, they can hide it a lot easier than a kid can. So I think it's, if you believe in after, something happening after we all die, and I don't know what we would call it, but they aren't looking down on us. Longest to wallow. So my advice is to try and live your life the best you can. It never goes away. It doesn't. You just you learn to live with it.
Yeah, you've taken up the mantle of being a voice for these issues and really have been a great champion to open the door for people to see more about the reality of mental health. So what is Tell My Story about, and what are some of the projects you're working on to continue your efforts?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that, my big mission, and thank you for taking a few minutes. That was a little harder than I thought. My mission was to help parents understand that we need to own our kids' mental health the same way as we own our kids' physical health. In other words, when your child comes up Monday morning and goes, I've got, a stomach ache, I don't want to go to school. Our immediate reaction is, you're lying to someone in school. Let's check you out. Oh, shoot. It does hurt. Well, where's it hurt? No, okay. Maybe there's an issue. Oh, shoot, you have a fever. Oops, we got to get to the doctor. And we own our kids' physical health, right? May not like having it all. When our child comes to us and says, I broke up with my boyfriend and I don't feel like living anymore, we go, whoa, what are you doing? He's an idiot. You're the best thing on the planet. That's just crazy. You don't do that. There's going to be so many boys out there. We go into immediately just panic mode and try to fix it by fixing it as opposed to just listening. The difference in mental health and physical health is you can fix physical health, like going to the doctor and just saying, go do this, take these medicines, boom. We try to take the same way of approaching someone's mental health. And we're not, and what the last thing they want us to do is try and fix it. What they want us to do is just listen. It's the way I like to describe it is, if you've never been depressed, if you've never been anxious, you've never had this kind of issue, then, I live in Southern California, and most days I'll look outside and it's all sunny and blue skies. And if I was saying someone's depressed, all they're going to see is clouds on those blue skies. And there's nothing I can do to change their mind about these clouds. Nothing I can say. I can say, look, there's no clouds. What are you nuts? There's no clouds over there. They're still going to see the clouds. And all they're going to do is not talk to me anymore. All I can really do is ask them about the clouds. Tell me what your clouds really look like. How do they make you feel? Are they always there? Do they come and go? Are they good clouds and bad clouds? And resist with everything my temptation. You don't tell them what I think they should do unless they ask. And that's hard, right? Because for guys like us, we're entrepreneurs. We build companies. We fix things. As a CEO coach, everybody calls me every day with, hey, I got a problem. People never call Jay with something good happened. People only call Jay when I got a problem. So that's what we do all. So it's natural for us to want to fix problems. The mental health and someone's mental health is not something you can fix. So in a short period of time, we're just trying to chat is, if you're looking for me to tell you what you should probably think about this. The chance of your son or daughter or someone you love dying of suicide, while it could happen and happen to both of us, doesn't happen to everyone. Yeah. However, the chance of your son or daughter or spouse or friend, family member having depression or anxiety is pretty high. 30 to 40% of kids have experienced some major mental health issue last year. 30 to 40% of adults have. So somebody who's struggling. You might be struggling. And there's not enough good therapists out there for us all to go get the therapy we need. It's just like not enough good doctors or lawyers, well, not like lawyers anyway, but not enough good doctors or, good financial advisors. It's just not enough good ones out there. So we have to own our kids' mental health. We have to own our mental health of our friends and family. We have to be willing to listen, willing to have the conversations, and just let people share. So what we've done, is that fair thing, Nate?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's, you're pointing out the shift actually in our mindset about, hey, I don't have to fix everything. I don't have to solve any problem. I don't have to take action. I have to be present with a person. And so we've built this life, especially, American culture, like you go, you do, you accomplish, you achieve. And there's always this motion of getting to somewhere you're not. Whereas the reality of living in the moment is to be fully present with the person and the experiences that you're sharing. And that's all about active listening. That's about not having an agenda of, here's what I want to say to you. It's listening to where the person is coming from and then not responding with judgment. It's responding with acceptance. And that creates a bubble of safety that a person, especially who's hungry to explore how to get out of, that depressive moment or that dark state, that gives them a glimmer of hope. And I think that's the best gift that we can give to others.
I mean, what I've discovered, you're absolutely right. And what I've discovered over the last 7 years is that people just need a lifeline. And that lifeline's conversation. That lifeline's something they go to, because people don't want to take their own lives. They feel that they have no other option. And in Ryan's case, unfortunately, he didn't know how to communicate that day. He was suffering choir. He was out to the outside world, and he looked great. That's why everybody's so shocked. Especially me. So, what I've done is, the last 7 years is trying to make it so that, there's tools that we use to try and communicate with our kids. So we've created Tell My Story is the organization I have. We did the movie Tell My Story, that's up on Amazon and Hulu and Prime and all the streaming services. I did that back about 4 years ago, I guess it was. Then we did another movie called, What I Wish My Parents Knew, which is up, it goes into schools and We do a school program for parents, and you can go on to tellmystory.org. When we bring that to your school, there's no cost to schools. And my organization will bring that in. We bring in the mental health expert, and we put a whole program on for your parents to help them see kids talking about mental health, to go, wow, that could be my child. And let me dig in a little deeper. I've done a couple of TEDx talks. I did a TEDx talk called the Hot Lava Talk, that if you're wondering how we got here, I have a working theory that's not just mine, obviously, that it's just a different world, right? When I was 14 and the phone rang at my house, my father answered if he was on the wall, right? He'd say, you decide who you could talk to and how long you could talk to him. And he usually stand there and, you'd say eventually, yeah, I'll look out, see you school. That's kind of how it went. Whereas today's kids have a lot, they got their phone in their pocket. They got access to the world. You and I didn't have access.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't feel like we needed it. We didn't sit back and say, do we have to worry about the war in Gaza starting up? Do we have to worry about whether Ukraine and Russia have started a world war? Do we have to worry about China? Do we have to worry about the economy? Do we have to worry about the politics? Do we have to worry about fighting between countries? Oh, and if we don't have to worry about those things, don't worry, because in 10 years, the world's going to be gone because of climate change. Well, that's what your 7, 8, and 9-year-old kids are thinking about right now. And we didn't think about that. So the pressure on these kids is just so much more, right? So we've tried to create some tools. So we have those movies that help parents understand things. We're creating a new movie for kids that basically shows other kids who have kind of pulled themselves up through leaning into things like art and sports and music, and just have wonderful stories of hope and mental health. And that is being done currently. It'll be out in the fall. We have this deck of cards called the Tell My Story card deck, which essentially allows you to start conversations with your kid, which is always hard to do, right? So this thing, I'll send you a couple of decks that you think we should have done already. But essentially, it has little conversations. You sit down with your kids and it says, like, tell me something you're proud of. I'm proud of me of. Or what am I most proud of? What was one of your happiest memories? And it starts amazing conversations. Like, we did this expecting it to be good. It's not good, it's great. It's like amazing the feedback we get off of parents who will sit down with their kids and just have these conversations one-on-one. But people do it one-on-one. We have kids doing it in classrooms together. We have adults doing it together. It's like just starting that conversation to get things going. So we have that tool. We have 2 albums we did, Songs for the Drive Home, which is all about sitting in your car and listening to music. It's kind of a Jack Johnson kind of feel. And this is like the first side is, to date me, is for younger kids, and side B is for older kids, but all songs about mental health. So you're driving home with your kids and songs come on and you go, I was bullied in school today, just like that song. And then take the long way back is a mental health elements for adults that just came out about 2 weeks ago. So I'm constantly looking for things to try and make these conversations better and happen. And, I got one more thing for you, then I'll stop blabbering on, but we were launching a program in April called Uplift at Work, and it's upliftatwork.com, which is a corporate mental health training program. Because I realize as you're looking at companies that one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have is that, we lose more time to mental health than we do to RSV and COVID and the flu, because so many people are struggling. So many people are struggling on their own with their spouses, their kids, and therefore they're either not at work or they're not present at work. And when they go to talk to their boss or the manager or the coworkers about the struggle they have because their daughter is cutting their son is depressed, we don't know how to have the conversation. So this program actually helps teach people how to have those conversations at work. So outside of my rest of my days, this is the stuff I dig into to try and make a difference in mental health.
Thank you for doing that. Encourage people to check out tellmystory.org to find out more information about what Jay is working on and how you can support the cause. Final question, Jay. Looking back over the past 7 years since the loss of Ryan, what has been a positive surprise that's appeared over that time period? You know, there's times when we go through dark moments and continue journeys, and there's also surprises that are impactful along the way. What comes to mind for you?
You know, I've got a really good life outside of what happened to Ryan. I've kind of I think what I've seen is I have lots of amazing friends that have supported me, amazing community that supported me. My wife and I are still married, 33 years this year, 32 years this year, something like that, which is, you know, most people get divorced. It's like this happens. I'm very close to my other kids, my son and my daughter. Love, they live right down the street. My other daughter and my son live on the property with us. So I think it's been nice to lean in with my family. I'd like to think I would have been that close to them as I was, but I think this even drew us closer together as we had to be. And lots of new friends. Lots of, I think, I know that we're making a difference. My whole team at tellmystory.org is making a difference in people's lives. And Ryan's death was not a waste.
Thank you for sharing your story today in Day in a Canoe, and thank you for being a champion to encourage and help others to give space to mental health needs.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for having me on your show. It's great to see you again. And thank you.
All right. See you soon.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review. To discover what wealth means to you, please take our assessment at planningalt.com.